My senior project was on the effective strategies to engage immigrants to use government assistance programs. My first three research analyses that I came upon was the understanding low-income Hispanic housing. This one was about how government needs to be more aware of Hispanic communities in the U.S. The point of this article is understanding underrepresentation of Hispanic communities, lacking homelessness programs, and housing programs nationwide. And the second part of this article is a case study done in Philadelphia using local program data, focus groups, and doing interviews to explore Hispanic residents' experiences in Philadelphia and barriers they experience to participate in government housing programs. Most of these barriers are being undocumented or fear. It can also be language barriers. I like this research because it did a personal study, not just a nationwide one. My second bullet point is improving access of low-income immigrant families. This one is about the mental barriers immigrants face and why. Usually it is like status in the United States or government assistance programs not being engaging enough, like using other languages or cultural norms in documents, making it hard for immigrants to understand what the assistance is even about. Another argument is that CBOs, which stands for community-based organizations, also benefit immigrants and are more likely to draw in immigrants. This is a very big one because community-based organizations are a lot more local. So it reaches out to many communities or one specific one and helps immigrants seek help in what they need. My third research is about COVID, which is very relevant because it is still an ongoing pandemic. And it found that Hispanic people are more reluctant to get the COVID-19 vaccine because of vaccine safety. Since this is a relatively new vaccine, and while making this paper, it had not been approved by the FDA yet, only recommended, Hispanics were scared of discrimination and safety of getting the vaccine. We, as people, should educate immigrants on the percentages of Americans that feel unsafe or rather not get the vaccine, or the percentage of people who have gotten the vaccine. I think showing immigrants that many people around them are getting them will encourage them or influence them to also get it. They could also be reluctant because sometimes you do have to show ID to get the vaccine, or may show some type of something that's like some sort of identification, and it scares them because they have no identification. So yeah. My last two research analyses that I came upon were these. The first one is training students to build effective strategies. This one was not based in the United States. It was students, I believe, and they went to different countries. They found that non-governmental organizations are very pronounced in other countries that help fix societal issues in a globalized way. And for abbreviation, I'm going to say NGOs. They focused heavily on the Ebola outbreak and how U.S. government collaborated with nonprofits to help. The point of this research was basically to engage people to build strategies across the world for different issues like ecosystems, immigration, disease, etc. The Ebola outbreak, I believe, happened in like 2014, so it is a little not that outdated, but non-profits also did the same thing with COVID vaccines and boosters. Many nonprofits held days where they just gave it out to people, and it didn't necessarily have to be from a doctor's office or or like the human services office. This is really important because it shows that maybe if you're immigrating here or if you're having trouble in your home country, you can find out about non-governmental organizations that can help with your home country's government as well. So they all collaborate together. The second one is barriers preventing Latina immigrants from seeking advocacy services. This one had to do with domestic violence, which is very common, unfortunately, among Latinx women in the United States. It is very difficult for Latinx women to acquire help from abusive homes, especially if that woman is undocumented too. My product is basically making brochures of many resources that you can go to, many nonprofits specifically that you can go to. One of them isn't a nonprofit, one of them is the Human Services office, which also gives you so much help and has so much diversity in it with many people who speak different languages. The brochures are going to be in Mandarin, Hindu, Arabic, English, and Spanish, because those are 5 very main languages, and I want to do volunteer work to hand these brochures out in government assisted homes and go to cities in North Carolina that have a more prominent immigrant background of some sort. So like one city is very Hispanic oriented and one is very Indian oriented, and another could be European immigrants. One is more Asian, and so I think that would help a lot. It would give a lot of insight to these families who may be who may be needing help, and that is my presentation.